So if you're looking for a large portable Bluetooth speaker for summer 2025, then the most popular options are the JBL Xtreme 4, the Bose Soundlink Max, and the brand new Sony ULT Field 5. Now, all of these speakers are portable and durable, but they're all very different from one another. So today we're going to compare the JBL Xtreme 4, Sony ULT Field 5, and the Bose Soundlink Max, and let's see which one's right for you, because depending on your needs, one is going to be better than the other. Regarding pricing, this might be a deciding factor for some people. Now, the Bose Soundlink Max has a retail price of $400, which I do feel is a lot. And if you want a shoulder strap, that's going to be an additional $45, which I do feel is ridiculous. Whereas with these other two speakers, they do come included with shoulder straps. Now, the JBL Xtreme 4 has a retail price of $380, and the Sony ULT Field 5 has a retail price of $330. Now, I do expect all of these speakers to go on sale. Nonetheless, if you want to pick any of these speakers up, they'll be linked down below, or you can always press on the YouTube shopping button. And if you want to further support the channel, then you can always pick up some merch. Now, first, there's the design of these speakers. Now, all of these speakers are durable and portable, and all of these speakers are waterproof. However, the Sony ULT Field 5 is the largest and heaviest speaker here. Nonetheless, I still feel that this speaker is super easy to take on the go with you, because it also comes included with a high quality shoulder strap. Now, the JBL Xtreme 4 also comes included with a high quality shoulder strap, so it's also very easy to take it on the go with you. Plus, it is a little lighter and it's also a little smaller too. But what makes the Xtreme 4 stand out here a little bit is that it does have a built-in bottle opener, which is very convenient. But then there's the Bose Soundlink Max. Now, this speaker does have a built-in carrying handle, but it's not as convenient as having a full-on shoulder strap, and I guess Bose know this because they're more than happy to sell you a shoulder strap separately. So if you're looking for something portable and you don't want to pay extra, then personally I'd recommend either the Sony ULT Field 5 or the JBL Xtreme 4. But a very small detail regarding the durability of these speakers is that the USB-C port on both the Xtreme 4 and Bose Soundlink Max is exposed, whereas the USB-C port on the ULT Field 5 is covered. And I point this out because let's say you were to take any of these speakers to the beach, lake, or pool, and if they were to get wet, before you can actually charge up either the Xtreme 4 or the Bose Soundlink Max, you gotta wait for them to properly dry, because if not, if you try to charge them up, then you're gonna get this or red notification light on the JBL Xtreme 4. Now, it doesn't mean that you actually broke it, it just means that you gotta wait for it to properly dry off. But nonetheless, since the USB-C port on the ULT Field 5 is covered, you don't have to deal with this. Now, I know that this is a very specific scenario, but I am pointing it out because this is something that I've had to deal with in the past. But a much bigger design difference between these three speakers is that the ULT Field 5 has a built-in light feature, and I feel that the built-in light feature on the ULT 5 is actually worth using again. So if you want something that's also going to liven up the mood, then you might want to go with the Sony ULT Field 5. However, if you do decide to use this light feature, that is going to take its toll on the battery life. Now, when it comes to battery life, the Bose Soundlink Max has an advertised battery life of 20 hours. The Xtreme 4 has an advertised battery life of 24 hours, and the ULT Field 5 has an advertised battery life of 25 hours. However, this advertised battery life of 25 hours on the Sony is with the light feature turned off, which I do feel is fair. But real-world use with all of these speakers playing at 80% volume, and with the ULT Field 5 playing with this light feature turned off, and with it set to ULT 2, the Sony is good for around 12 hours of playback time, the Xtreme 4 is good for around 14 hours of playback time, and the Bose is good for about 10 hours of playback time. But what really makes the Xtreme 4 stand out here is that you can actually remove the battery on this speaker. So if you want, you can either get multiple batteries and keep the party going, or if you ever get to a point where your battery can no longer hold a charge, instead of having to buy a completely new speaker, all you need to do is just buy a new battery. However, removing the battery on the Xtreme 4 isn't as easy as removing the battery on either the PartyBox 320 or PartyBox 120. With the Xtreme 4, you are going to need Allen keys, and the Xtreme 4 has this setup so that it can keep its IP68 rating. So swapping out the battery on the Xtreme 4 is durable, but it's not super convenient, but it can be done. But when it comes to actually charging these speakers, like I mentioned earlier, all of these speakers charge via a USB-C port, which is great. However, with both the Bose and JBL, they both come included with complete charging cables. Whereas with the Sony, it does come included with a USB-C cable, but you are going to have to use your own wall adapter. But more importantly, with both the JBL and the Sony, if you were to use them while they're plugged in, you are going to get a performance boost out of them. They're going to get louder and they're going to have more bass. Whereas with the Bose, you don't. But also, with all of these speakers, you can also use their USB-C port to charge your own devices, which is super convenient, especially if you plan on taking these speakers to the beach. However, you can't use the USB-C port on any of these speakers as a wired connection. However, both of the Bose and the Sony still have an audio jack, so you can use them with a wired connection, whereas with the JBL, you can only use it wirelessly. But when it comes to Bluetooth connectivity, all of these speakers can be connected to two devices at the same time, so you and a friend can both be DJ. Latency isn't an issue for any of these speakers, so you can use them to watch videos with on your phone. And when it comes to audio codecs, the JBL Xtreme 4 only has support for SBC. The Sony ULT Field 5 has support for SBC and AAC. But then there's the Bose Soundlink Max, which has support for SBC, AAC, and aptX adaptive. However, if you do want to take advantage of aptX, you do have to be an Android user, because iPhones top out at AAC. But wait, if you want to further support the channel, then check out our affiliate partner, Manscaped. Manscaped has a trimmer for any of your grooming needs. First off, there's the Handyman, which is a compact face shaver. There's the upgraded Lawnmower 4.0 Pro, which charges via a USB-C port and it still has wireless charging, but more importantly, it has a new upgraded and stronger motor. There's also the Lawnmower 5.0, which also has the same great upgraded motor, plus it also comes included with a foil if you want to get a skin-tight shave. There's also the Dome Saver Pro, which has 5 double-track blade heads. It's easy to clean and it also charges via a USB-C port, or it also has wireless charging. And finally, there's the Chairman Pro, which is my personal favorite. It not only feels super premium, but it also has 2 interchangeable heads, so either you can get a skin-tight shave or you can leave the right amount of stubble. No matter your needs, Manscaped has a shaver for you, so check out Manscaped in the link down below. But with all that out of the way, let's talk about sound. Regarding speaker setup, these 3 speakers are very different. Now, the Bose Soundlink Max has a single front-firing tweeter with dual woofers that shoot out at a slight angle, and it has a dual pass radiators that shoot out the sides. Then there's the JBL Xtreme 4, which has a more standard setup of dual front-firing woofers, dual front-firing tweeters, and dual pass radiators that shoot out the sides. And finally, there's the Sony ULT Field 5, which has a single front-firing woofer with dual front-firing tweeters and dual pass radiators that shoot out the sides. But now we're going to go ahead and jump into the sound test. All 3 of these speakers are playing at 75% volume while unplugged. Both the JBL and Bose are playing with their stock EQs, and the Sony ULT Field 5 is playing with ULT 2. So first off, I do have to point out that the Bose Soundlink Max sounds and performs much better than when it first came out. When it first came out, the speaker sounded very hollow because the mids just weren't there. But now, the speaker sounds a lot better. However, the Bose Soundlink Max still likes to lean towards a warmer sound signature. And from a max volume performance standpoint, the speaker doesn't get as loud as these other two speakers. So with the Bose Soundlink Max, I feel that the speaker sounds a lot better than when it first came out, but I feel that both the JBL Xtreme 4 and the Sony ULT Field 5 give you better sound performance at a more affordable price. Now, with the JBL Xtreme 4, this speaker gets louder than the Bose Soundlink Max and it has stronger mids, so overall I think that this speaker sounds more balanced. But then there's the Sony ULT Field 5, which I feel sounds even better than the JBL Xtreme 4 because its mids are a lot more present and this speaker sounds a little more open than the Xtreme 4 as well. With the JBL Xtreme 4, I can help but feel that the mids on this speaker still sound a little hollow when compared to the mids found on the Sony ULT Field 5. And then there's just the max volume performance on these speakers. Now both the JBL and Sony get louder than the Bose, but the Sony sounds better at max volume than the JBL because it sounds fuller, because at max volume the JBL Xtreme 4 starts to sound overly bright because just the mids and highs increase, but the bass doesn't keep up as well. And like I mentioned earlier, with both the JBL and Sony, if you were to use them while they're plugged in, you are going to get a performance boost out of them. They're going to get louder and they're going to have more bass. But overall, I feel that all of these speakers are going to be good for like 10 to 12 people get together, but more importantly, I feel that the JBL Xtreme 4 and Sony ULT Field 5 are going to give you better overall sound performance, but ultimately, I do feel that the Sony ULT Field 5 is the overall best sounding speaker here. But finally, let's talk about pairing these speakers up with other speakers. Now, with all of these speakers, if you have two of the exact same speakers, then you can wirelessly pair them up and get them to play in left or right stereo mode. So you're gonna have one speaker for your left channel and another speaker for your right channel. But with the Bose Soundlink Max, you can only have a total of two speakers playing together, and you can only pair this speaker up either to another Bose Soundlink Max or to a Bose Soundlink Flex 2, and that's it. So if you plan on growing your collection of speakers, then the Bose is very limited. But then there's the Sony ULT Field 5, which is using Sony's Party Connect, so you can pair it up to other Sony speakers that are also using Party Connect, like either a Sony ULT Field 7 or to an XG500, XG300, XE300, XE200, or to an XP43, XP33, XP23, or to another ULT Field 5 or to an ULT Field 3. And you can pair up to 100 speakers together and get them to all play in sync. And you can also pair up your smaller Sony speaker to any of Sony's larger speakers that are also using Party Connect, like either an ULT Tower 10 or an ULT Tower 9 or an XV800, XV500, or to an XP700 or XP500. The only unfortunate thing here is you cannot connect your Sony ULT Field 5 up to the Sony ULT Field 1, and I feel that this is very unfortunate because the Sony ULT Field 1 is currently my favorite small portable Bluetooth speaker to use and recommend. I actually do like it more than the JBL Flip 7. And then there's the JBL Xtreme 4, which is using OraCast. So you can pair it up to other JBL speakers that are also using OraCast, like either another Xtreme 4 or to a Charge 6 or to a Flip 7, Clip 5, or Go 4. And you can also pair it up to any of JBL's larger party boxes that are also using OraCast, like either a Party Box Encore 2, Party Box 120, 320, 520, or to a Party Box Ultimate, and you can get them to play in sync. But also, something that makes the JBL Xtreme 4 very special here is that you can also pair it up to any of JBL's older speakers that are using Party Boost, like either a Boombox 3 or a Boombox 2, Xtreme 3, Pulse 5, Pulse 4, Charge 5, Flip 5, or to a Flip 6. And this is a big deal because the Xtreme 4 is currently the only JBL OraCast speaker that can connect to both JBL's older Party Boost speakers. So if you have any of JBL's older Party Boost speakers, then you you might want to go with the Xtreme 4, because then that way your older Party Boost speakers won't go to waste, but you can still connect your Xtreme 4 up to any newer JBL speakers that are used in OraCast. Overall, if you're planning on growing your collection of speakers, then you do want to go with the JBL Xtreme 4 because it's using OraCast, and you can also connect it up to any of JBL's older Party Boost speakers, and you can also pair it up to any other non-JBL speakers that are also using OraCast. However, I do find that Sony's Party Connect is more stable than OraCast, but with Sony's Party Connect, you are going to be stuck in Sony's ecosystem. But with all that being said, if you're trying to choose between the JBL Xtreme 4, Bose Soundlink Max, or the Sony ULT Field 5, I still feel that the Bose Soundlink Max is hard to justify over these other two speakers. Yes, the Bose Soundlink Max sounds better than when it first came out, but the Bose Soundlink Max is the most expensive speaker here. You get less sound performance out of it. It has the shortest battery life here. Its shoulder strap is sold separately, and its pairing options are very limited. Personally, I think the Sony ULT Field 5 is the best option here because it sounds the best because it has very strong mids, but it also has a lot of bass, which allows the speaker to sound very full, even at max volume. Plus, it also has a long battery life, and it also has a built-in light feature that's actually now worth using, and it's the most affordable speaker here. Now, the JBL Xtreme 4 is also a solid option to consider here, and if you need it, it also has that removable battery, and it also has OraCast if you plan on growing your collection of speakers. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit the like button and get subscribed. If you want to pick any of the products up, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to further support the channel, check out the merch. I made some shirts and hoodies that look and feel great. And you know I can be very particular, so I'll only slap my name on something if I'm really proud of it.